I'm Darren Butt, interior designer and aviation fanatic.
And I'm Sweeney Gray, journalist, and this is the Interior Podcast.
Emphasis on tea, as we spill the tea on all things design, home and construction.
Locally, regionally, and even internationally. So join us as we spill the tea.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Interior Podcast. Well, by now you must know who I am. I'm Darren Butt.
And I'm Sweeney Gray, and we have another fantastic show planned for you. We are here with Tiffany and Keron Cowan of KK Construction and Design. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
We're good. It's a pleasure meeting and chatting over Zoom.
Over Zoom. Unfortunately, we had to do this episode over Zoom. Well, it happens, right?
It does.
They're lucky. It's sweet Tobago. We're stuck in Trinidad. It's totally a very national conversation happening here, both islands in full effect.
We were trying to get to Tobago, but we could not. So,
public holidays and Trinidad being what it is, Trinidad and Tobago being what it is, you can't get a flight. So,
actually, Tobago is going to be sinking for this whole weekend because the entire Trinidad is here.
All of Trinidad is in Tobago.
Yeah.
And yes, all of them.
Every last one.
Thank you so much for having us on. We really appreciate you reaching out to us. And we're excited to have some tea and chat.
Yes, definitely.
So let's talk about tea. What are you drinking?
What are you drinking today?
Yes. She looked so pleased.
My beverage of choice is Campari and LLD.
All right, good.
We approve.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like Campari, but I approve. It's fine.
Campari is it's an acquired taste.
Yes.
And if you mix it really well, trust me.
Then you're fine.
So I'm gonna try that LLB.
You should.
Yeah, so very popular drink in Tobago. In Tobago, we like Campari a lot.
Yes.
So I'm having
Yes.
Yeah.
Alone, you're drinking with orange juice, you're drinking with grapefruit.
I know Campari and orange juice. I didn't know Campari was a big drink in Tobago. You see why I need to move there? Keron.
Keron, you having the same thing?
Yes, I'm having the same Campari and LB.
Campari and LB.
Yes,
Lovely.
Darren and I are twinning as well. We're having grape juice and vodka, Grey Goose.
Yes.
Lovely.
And it's very interesting because we can't even taste the vodka. So we'll see how this goes.
It's a creeper.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very much so. But we like creepers. We like creepers.
So guys, as we begin this episode, tell us who is Keron and who is Tiffany, who is KK Construction and Design. Let's find out.
Well, what do I say? I mean, it actually started with me, right? Back in 2007. I was the founder. I always had a passion for architectural design and by extension construction as well. So it has been, a company that has been alive for quite some time. A lot of experience has been gained. Always like to take on new challenges, new types of construction options, so to speak. And basically what would have happened is over the years, going and doing training in architecture, studied for 4 years, from 2010 to 2014, where Tiffany and
where I would have come into
the equation,
right? Yeah, because when I met him, he had this business already, and we were friends for a very long time, and we decided to go to school because I always had a passion for architecture as well. So when we met firstly, that was the main conversation about design and stuff like that. And then the opportunity came for us to go to university because I wanted to go to university, and he was getting frustrated in Tobago. He was like, I need to challenge myself more. So I was like, boy, come on, we go and try and do this architecture, see where it takes us. So that's how we ended up going to school in Jamaica, University of Technology. Yes.
I went to uni, but neighbors.
Yeah. Same thing, Papi area, Yeah.
And very interestingly, our guest for this week,
Yes.
Ronaldo Campbell, he also went there and he
He's
said
a
he met
graduate.
you all there.
Oh,
He said hello to you guys.
Yeah,
Below us. Yes,
yeah.
he was 1 year below us.
So being Trinidadian, being in Jamaica, we were always like a close-knit type group.
Only Trinidadians link up. It doesn't matter what year.
Yeah. So that was an experience in and of itself. So that is where we got our formal training in architecture. And then when we came back to Trinidad, we worked in a company called WSP for a year. And we decided, it was time for us to, at least to start back up KK Construction and Designs, right?
I always had a passion for being an entrepreneur, and for me, working in this company was more of a tool, right, to gather some experience. So when I'm actually starting my business or starting back, I'm starting at a different level. So it was actually quite interesting, the experience that we did.
Keron, so you said started back the business. What was the business before your degree, and how did it change after graduation?
So before the degree, it was more, I was more of a draftsman, right? And in terms of construction, I would do like supervision for contractors, right? But after the degree, I wanted more of a hands-on approach, because what I found missing was that a lot of contractors didn't understand how to read drawings for some strange reason. So what they were giving clients was totally different to what was on the paper.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
What happens?
I think it's an ego thing. When you don't know something, you just say, nah, it's not good.
Yeah, and then they would convince the client that then sitting down in our office, they don't know anything about what has happened out here. And it's the furthest thing from the truth.
Yeah.
The other day, the drawings are off, but just use it as a guide.
I beg your pardon?
Just use it as a guide. And I tried my best not to lose my entire mind, but I said, but
what?
I don't understand. And then the plumber is calling me to tell me that because one room got larger, other rooms were thrown off, so therefore his lines would run in a beam underneath. And I was just like, I hung up the phone and I was like, I'll be there. Because why they calling me, I don't know. I am just the interior designer who is implementing designs. You should be arguing with the other folks. But yes, it happens though.
I mean, that's a brilliant segue, because a lot of people don't trust contractors, and it sounds like contractors are a massive problem. I think, unfortunately, any contractor listening to this podcast is going to be like, why are we taking all these licks? So your firm is actually KK Construction and Design, right? The design is important.
Well, the episode here is Contractor Redemption.
So can we ask to redeem your
contractors? We want to bring a good name back to contractors, and I understand what clients have been experiencing. Hence, one of the reasons why we wanted to focus on construction, but also the design aspect of things, because it really starts with the design. And the design tells you everything that you need to know about a project. But contractors now, how we try to set ourselves apart from the rest is that we always about documentation, we always about transparency. We like to make sure that the client knows exactly what they're going to get, right? And I think that is something that's lacking in the industry in terms of paperwork. We find a lot of clients that come to us, they would have given this contractor all this money,
pay them a lot of money,
and then he not showing up. You can't get him. You can't get onto him. What the product that he promised is not up to standard. What do you do as a client after that? And the sad part about it is that they come to us after the problem.
Yes.
So now we have to try to rectify it.
Someone else's problem.
But by that time the client doesn't have the funds, or is has trepidation. They don't want to trust anybody else to do the work. So we now have it's more of a counseling session, kind of coaxing them, trying to show them the right way, and gaining back that trust. And that is what I think is missing in the construction industry, that relationship between contractor and client. We need to build that back in order for the trust to come back. Because
but not only contractor and client, but all the other disciplines that related to the construction itself.
Yeah.
Because I find there's a separation between the architect, the structural engineer, the quantity surveyor, the evaluator, the banks, nobody's communicating and nobody wants to communicate with each other, but it's very important for all of them to communicate. I mean, I don't understand why this gap has generated.
I mean, I've seen, like when I enter a project, a lot of people, clients and contractors, they think we are just there to make the house pretty. They don't understand from, let's say, the interior design point of view, where we have to be there from the drawings. We begin from the design. We begin working through things. And some people are like, well, I didn't expect to have you now. And it's like, so when did you expect to have me? When you have a wall that shouldn't be there, when you have certain aspects that should not be there, lighting, all these different things. And it's always been a pain to guide clients through that and help them understand that interior design requires the input from the ground up, from the design. We are sitting with the clients, we are walking through architecture, the architect and the designer is working hand in hand, and then we move everything together. And I think that's something that is still not learned and or understood, but hopefully we get there very soon, because a lot more people are hiring designers to work with them and still don't understand everything that's required. And I'm glad that we are having this discussion just to show that, listen, we work in tandem with each other. And this is how it's supposed to go, to ensure that you are not frustrated, we are not frustrated, and they don't come and tell people, don't hire them because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Where do you find most conflicts in the design change? Is it that contractors are typically the most resistant to having the architect or the interior design? Is it that the architects are very finicky and are like, what, you didn't spend 7 years where you come in to talk to me about design? Where do you find most of the conflict, or is the client just the problem for everybody?
What I realized that the conflict comes from the cost. Yeah?
Correct.
Cost. Now, the architect could have brilliant ideas. The interior designer specs out a space. When it reaches to the contractor to price these things, it's a holdback. So that's where the conflict comes into balancing design expectations and cost, because cost is the main parameter that we have to design within.
Yeah.
We can't design, the Taj Mahal and then they only have a sweetie shop money. Yeah. So I think that budget and cost is one of the main conflicts that we need to try. And again, that goes back to the point we were making in terms of each discipline has to communicate with each other from the beginning, before anything is in the ground, before anything. Planning is so important.
Correct. The cost should be identified at that design stage. So it's not a surprise when it's, you give a contractor the drawing, so pricing. Yeah. So you have, let's say, your drawings per se, right? And you could tell based on what the design is that, okay, it's going to cost X, Y, Z, depending on the things that you select, the level of finishes that you're looking at, right? So you wanna keep your finger on the pulse of that all the time, right? It shouldn't be a surprise later on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I wanted to ask? Is there, I was looking at your blog. I feel like you all have one of the nicest corporate blogs that I've seen in Trinidad and Tobago. And the reason why I say that, I'm guessing that's Tiffany. Congratulations, Tiffany. And I say that because I'm looking at your blog post, and you're not shying, and it's not that it's a whole lot, but you're not shying away from essential information. Of course, the blog post that is most present in my mind is the difference in pricing construction in Trinidad as compared to Tobago. And then you broke it down in very basic, nothing about construction really is basic to me, but in very basic steps. Yeah. And I think that was so informative for people who may be thinking about construction, thinking about getting their home, and really new to this entire thing. So you gave them a very good base, which of course is, I mean, if this were a branding podcast, we can talk about how important blog posts like that are to the industry and creating your brand identity. What are some of the differences I say all this to say, what are some of the differences in constructing buildings and homes in Trinidad as opposed to in Tobago? And why is it fundamentally more expensive in Tobago?
So before you answer, that point Suini dropped on about the price difference. That's one of the questions that we have for our later segment. So we will not talk about pricing just yet. So yeah, how is construction different in Tobago versus Trinidad? Like, what have you seen? What are, like, what's the best way to describe it? Like, what are the pains? What are the pros, the cons, yeah.
One of the major pains is the availability of material choices, right? Especially finishes, right? You know, things like tiles and floor finishes, vanities, toilets, these kind of things. It's difficult to find any place perhaps that you could have choices. You know, you could look at different items. You could carry the client there to look at options. I mean, we can't even carry the client because there aren't any, right? What we tend to do is we would carry the client to Trinidad, right? And then we go and look at options. So you see, that in and of itself is, I mean, you don't want to talk about cost, but an additional cost.
Additional cost,
right?
Like, that carries up cost.
Correct.
With transport, maybe overnighting, if you don't get everything done in the same day, and all of that. And like, from your point of view, what can be done from a, what should I say, a governmental standpoint, or
well, this is both public and private. Industry, public and private, because I'm thinking the businesses that have their warehouses in Trinidad might want to consider having like a showroom or a display room, but that's just me who's not in the industry thinking of something like that, where you can have samples easily accessible. But that is a very valid reason why cost is so high.
There is a challenge though, because you have to look at the population size, and apart from the population size, you have to look at the style of finishes that the majority of the population like. So you would find
that is changing.
It is changing, but it's
slowly changing. We're slowly getting it to change.
Stick a pin on that, because what we're going to ask you right after you answer this question is, why is it changing? So let's talk about the finishes and how do we deal with the lack of access to finishes that the clients like in Tobago.
Another thing before I answer that, I wanted to go back to the point that I was making in terms of accessibility of materials. We have to think about it in a strategic sense, because obviously construction is about strategy, it's about planning. And in order to get materials from Trinidad, it takes time. We have to look at lead times for, if it is that we have getting windows, production of windows to get to Tobago, that is a lead time that we have to anticipate. So again, that is another pain, if you want, for lack of a better word, in terms of constructing in Tobago, because even though we have, let's say, Lifetime here, we have roof systems here, they still don't produce on the island.
Yeah.
So they still have to go to Trinidad produces, and then it comes up every week or whatever it is. So we at the mercy of these suppliers having to wait.
Yeah.
Right. So therefore that leads to longer construction periods. And of course, time is money. And again, it goes back. Everything connects to each other. And the one little thing here, one little thing there, it adds up at the end.
And so, we haven't even discussed scope creep or any of those different things. And it's like
any change that you want to make, we have to think 2-3 steps ahead.
Yeah.
That might be 2-3 weeks to add on to the project.
And then now we have to think about lead time and chain supply issues. And let's say when furniture does not come to Trinidad on time, or if we order stuff from the US, or let's say you even go to the US and you get it there, and then you ship it to Trinidad, and then it's time to come here, and then boom, it has to come to Tobago, and we have to clear it in Trinidad first.
Yes.
And then we have to put it we have to get transport, then to the boat, and then to Tobago.
Oh, because it has to go in a truck that goes on the boat. Okay, right. Cost plus.
I mean, I guess on a governmental level, we have to look at, what the island needs and access to goods and services. And this goes beyond construction. For me, especially, because I'm a Trinidadian that moved over here. So I saw the disparity between availability of goods. Yeah. And then when we hit COVID, sorry, this is a tangent, but when we had COVID, it felt like we were on a stranded island because things could not come up in time.
Right.
So I'm like, we need to do something better for Tobago. Tobago needs to start to produce items, manufacture on the island, to supply the population. Yeah, it have such a big disparity, in my opinion.
No, that's a lovely digression, to be honest. That's a lovely digression. How possible do you think manufacturing in Tobago is as an option?
It's very much possible. I mean, many years ago, they actually used to do it and export to Trinidad, right? But I'm not sure where the shortfall happened, and everything kind of switched over. Now we stuff from Trinidad.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, simple things like bananas, like this morning, I mean, I was on the road, but bananas haven't reached Tobago yet.
Yeah.
For the week.
Yeah.
Bananas come to Tobago once a week.
Yeah.
Right?
These simple things.
Tobago used to be the food basket of Trinidad and Tobago, so, food security is, again, another valid podcast, but that's not what we're here to talk about. But I want to go back to a point that Tiffany was making.
Like, I am so speechless. Like, I've had all of these points, and like, I hope we get the ear of those in charge to understand what makes sense in terms of fighting for, in terms of autonomy and different things. These are the things that make sense. These are the things bringing companies to have their warehouses, to manufacture, to ensure that you are always supplied with things as opposed to the superficial things.
Correct.
And we're talking about job creation. We're talking about, if it is in a manufacturing, a company brings their manufacturing across to Tobago. That is Trinidadians that come across to Tobago to work, to, build society.
Once you have a plant or whatever in Tobago, it cannot be Trinidadians alone working there. That means automatically jobs for Tobagoans. So, I totally feel you. But just back...
Next day, because I could talk for hours.
We can talk about this for forever.
But talk to us about, because Tiffany was talking earlier about the taste is changing. What do you attribute this change in taste to?
No. Let's start with what is the taste. Because I know what the taste is, so we need to know what the taste. Well,
what is the taste?
You will probably know what the taste is.
But
so
I don't know the words for it. Okay.
When you walk into a house and you have those 12 by 12 brown triangular tiles.
Look at Tiffany. Look at Tiffany. Let her neck.
And the frosted plexiglass on the shower. and our favorite, the doily with
God.
the
doll.
the dolls
The doll with
in
the doily.
toilets.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
you
in
also
the
have
paper roll.
actual curtains at the windows for the in the bathroom, in the kitchen.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like yours.
Style is subjective. We all know that. Style and design is subjective.
Yes.
But we, as I said, we only seeing a change from what you described in there to that more modern approach, because we actually have a lot of clients that come to us saying that they want a modern design.
Yeah.
And because they see our work, they know what they could get from us.
So I think that's one of the things that has happened to us, because over the years, we were doing that style of architecture and design and whatnot. It seems like we're attracting a certain type of client all the time, right? So now we're getting less of that type of client.
Doilies and dolls.
Because I guess they realize that if I go to them, I wouldn't get that. So I'm not wasting my time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still on the shelves. We see that style still prevalent, and I don't know why we're not getting with the times.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Trinidad is beyond.
Is it a cost factor? Because I realize a lot of homes in Tobago as well have the PVC ceiling. And a lot of people are fully unaware, well, they are definitely unaware that in terms of getting insurance for your...
Get insurance for PVC roof ceiling.
And then that sparks a different conversation. Is it that a lot of people just don't have homeowners insurance? You understand?
Very possible. And that's a scary thought.
It is.
Because yes, the PVC is cheap. Yes, they will sell it and all these different things, but that is fire. That is like, we went somewhere, and when we went to the place, like we were in the loft area, and you are smelling the chemical, you are smelling the burning, because it's so close to it is literally by the roof and the galvanized, so you're smelling it. And I'm the homeowner not smelling this. You understand?
Oh, you're kidding.
Don't have any radiant heat barrier.
No.
No.
But and I think it comes down to cost. It comes down to what is available in your budget. What we tend to see, and I guess this is a trend from 10, 20 years ago, especially in Tobago, that when you build in a home, you build piece by piece.
Right. Okay.
The foundation, or you have the foundation, it sit down there for about 2 years, then you get some blocks and you start to acquire blocks. So you tend to hear, this is what I could afford at the time. They didn't have a holistic approach to building homes, design, all these things. So that is what we try to do, is educate clients, right? And that is one of the reasons why we decided to write that blog, because a lot of the clients that come to us, it was the same issues over and over and over again. And, we had to keep repeating it. So I said, it can't be that these are the only clients that don't know. People just don't know process, they don't know cost, they don't know what it involves, what it entails. So if it is that we could educate and spread the word, so at least, even if you don't come to us and you go to somebody else, you know what to expect from them, so that they don't have the wool over your eyes. And again, that will help with the reputation of contractors. So now as a client, you feel empowered. Where is this? So I would say that I have a lot more blog posts to write. It's just the time. It is not your friend. I have a whole set of them to write, but I want to empower the clients. And that's the main thing, empowering the clients so that they know this is what you have to look out for. These are the right questions to ask, so that you don't get taken advantage of.
So like as you were just saying, people love to tell us, oh, everyone has the same 24 hours. Firstly, they lie. Secondly, I understand because like we have things that we want to put out, and like help some people with DIY things and or assistant. It's like it's
Yeah.
been years.
Yeah.
But one of my major questions I wanted to ask you all, when people come to you and build, let's say we're building this way and piece by piece and these different things, and oh, this is what we can afford. How do you, as a modern, wise construction company, guide and show them that, hey, well, you don't have to put PVC ceilings, you can put suspended ceiling tiles. If you find gypsum is too expensive, like finding alternatives. So that's my question. And we're coming back. Well, guys, we had to take a break because, I mean, Zoom.
Since the podcast is quote unquote over, Zoom is very stringent about their time limits, and we're not paying.
Correct.
So,
We don't
political reasons.
So we had to have a little break to refill our.
to refill.
Correct.
Exactly.
So before I get back into the question I was asking before we took our break, I just asked personal questions like, was Tiffany and Keron a couple before they went to Jamaica? And your answer is
No.
Not just before, but you know.
So again, story time, right? we met, we were together, didn't work out, stopped talking. I think we hated each other, but I probably hated more than him. And
You know the thing about it is guys don't ever break up with girls because they can always get a chance.
which I guess they did, right?
I am dying here, though. I am dying. I am dying at Keron's audacity. I am dying.
well, he got through, right?
No, but that's the upsetting thing with the audacity because Tiffany, I'm sorry, but like you win.
You know, this story is engaging my roommate's dog again. This is the second podcast where she is making her cameo. So I think she's okay now.
Yeah.
But yes, but no, I like this story. And like, so, right, you all broke up, went to Jamaica.
No, well, we broke up and then we got back. Well, we were friends again. And that's when I told him, listen, I'm going to apply to university. You should come and try to apply too. He ended up getting through. I got through. We ended up going. But we were just friends until like late down in university. You know, it was all over.
Cut my university life in half.
Yeah, it was all over from there.
I like the fake shake of the head, you know? I could have been zesting, but I find love. So all zest had to done, all zest had to change.
All, as the Jamaicans say, all free paper bun.
Too. I love it.
All free paper bun. But and how long ago was this?
Well, we finished school in 2014.
Yeah.
Right? And then when we came back to Trinidad, we started back the business in 2015 and got married in 2017.
Okay, very nice.
Yay, I love a university love story. Keron is like, I ain't too sure about them facts, you know. Keron's like, I ain't too sure about them timelines, you know, but
17 feel like it was just the other day.
Yeah. So
no, it was actually, Keron, in your defense, 2017 was literally the other day.
But remember, we lost 2 years of our lives.
Because of the pandemic.
That's
And
right.
also with old age, time passes quickly because this year just started and we are in June.
We're in June. And it like just yesterday I was talking to Ronaldo and he was saying my episode is up already.
And
Because it seemed as though we recorded with him 3 to 4 weeks ago.
time is
It's
time
been
is
a
a
while.
concept that
and it just
confuses
just
me.
there. I mean, you're already closest to release date because your episode will be next week.
Yes.
So you are the closest to release date. So yeah. But yeah, back to my question that I was asking, like when you have clients who, okay, this is all they can afford, and okay, PVC and daddy or uncle or cousin told me that we should go here, because you do know that, well, I mean, from experience, every client has some input from some knowledgeable in inverted commas, friend, family, parent, somebody, and their knowledge is trash. Like, I can say that. No,
before
I can
you say
see
the
it.
knowledge is flawed,
No,
Darren.
no, it's
You're going to
trash.
say trash?
Because you're stressing
Basura?
me out. Basura.
Solamente?
See.
Very diplomatic.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Because like a lot of my clients, you will hear something. Yeah, well, this person told me about this, that, and I'm like, but you hired me.
Mm-hmm.
So why are you second guessing what I am telling you?
Trust me.
Yeah, and so this is, I guess, that word trust comes into my question. How do you guide and protect these clients when they look at themselves of having a small budget, but you know that we could maneuver things around and maybe dispense with something that's not entirely necessary, and or give them better sealing, so suspended gypsum tiles over the mineral tiles, or if they can afford gypsum in one particular area, or something as opposed to PVC ceilings. So how do you have that talk, and how do you guide them through that?
So
I'm sorry, but for me, none of the above is really acceptable. I don't do PVC ceiling. I don't do the ceiling tiles.
Mm-hmm.
that's on the application.
Well, I mean, a commercial setting is different, but a residential setting, I would not go that way. If you, as a client, want to take that route, you could do it after I am completed what I have done.
I understand. I understand.
I have to see this,
Yeah.
right? And
Let's take our
my pictures won't reflect.
Let's take our pictures. But on a more serious note, right? What we tend to do, we have clients that come to us and say, I have X amount of budget.
Yeah.
I want to do this in phases. So that's a new trend, build it in phases. But what we tend to recommend is that, okay, you can build in phases, but we have to look at the design as a holistic approach.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it comes like we doing the master plan, the entire design, go through the entire design process, and then we look at the design and say how we can now phase each item.
Right.
And is it possible to, from the architectural design, like I'm speaking to my architects, so from very, very early on, say, listen, let's be real, this is my dream house. However, I did not win the $15 million lot. So I know we're gonna have to build this in phases. Can you design a house that it's meant to be constructed in pieces, or in I guess in 5-year whatever, and still look like a cohesive whole when it's done?
Because architectural prices are also heart attack inducing. So we know this as
Paying for the 7 years all your study.
It
is challenging.
It is
challenging.
It is challenging. Why? Because we can't say, okay, we need a master plan, but we cannot guarantee what the cost will end up being, because we see now how the trends of the construction industry going.
Yeah.
Where last year steel was one price, this year steel is another price, double, triple, lumber, all these things. So even though you say that, all right, I want to do it in phases, it might be the best approach, because you might end up paying a lot more, 2 times, 3 times more when you finish the house than if it is that we say, all right, and this is what we advise. If you have a budget, that budget, we design for that budget. And if anything in the future, you can now add on or, do whatever, but still making it look cohesive. So that's the trick.
But even if they're doing it in phases as well, we still like to get an idea of that number. What do you see yourself not surpassing? What figure, right? So that way, we still have some sort of control as to how far we could go with the design, right? Because you still don't want to design something that they utterly can't use down the road.
And we see that time and time again.
Yeah.
We, on our construction leg, people come to us with their designs and they say, I want you to give us a quote for this design. When you look at the design, in your mind, the design costs $3 million, but their budget is 600,000. That is, and I don't want to skip because that was one of the answers to the question. Sure. But these are things that we have to battle, and we have to try to work with the clients, and that's what we do. A lot of people come to us that don't necessarily turn out to be clients. They just come for the consultation. We try to guide you as much as possible, and then you make your choice. Sometimes when you come to us, what you had in your mind as, I'm going to get this project started, you now have to sit back and pause and say, all right, maybe I now take a different approach. Maybe I wait a little bit, build some capital. If I have equity here, try to get, my funds together before I build so that I can, complete the project and live in a house that is not unpainted. Yeah. You don't have ceilings, you don't have floors, you don't have, but it's a challenge.
We always try to advise the clients that this is a very large investment that you're getting into. You don't want to just rush into it, because that's where mistakes can happen. That's where, cost overruns can happen, because you're rushing the process. Because sometimes persons come to us and they're like, I want to start a bill next month. No.
It takes a minimum of almost 9 months before you can break ground.
Correct. Yeah. And don't if you have to go for financing in the bank. Yeah. I tell clients, any client that comes into us now that wants design, we let them know this process takes at least 8 months to a year to complete before we start to build. Yeah. So have that in your mind. Have that, and it's all about managing client expectations. And I think that why we are so successful is that we transparent, and that's what we preach all the time. We let you know what it is, what to expect from upfront. Yeah. You choose if you want to come with us or not, or let somebody else go and tell you fancy stories and sell you the dream. Be about reality.
Since you're talking about reality, right? How do you manage the HD TV expert clients? The clients who, that's their favorite channel, and because they watch it all the time, they are design experts. How do you manage those clients? Darren is like, Sweetie, take this question because I cannot.
I want to get Darren's response on how he manages.
So this is year 10. And
of DGB.
Of DGB Concepts. And I guess it all had to do with my confidence and understanding who I was in terms of what I offer clients, right? So before I would sort of, let's say, compromise with certain things and all right, go ahead and stuff, but now it's no. Yeah. It's okay, we are collaborating, yes. I want you to show me what you are doing. I don't want you to come and tell me my job.
Yeah.
You can't do my job for me, because if you are doing my job for me, let me pack my bags and go. You understand? And we have that, and I'm beginning to have that understanding with clients that, listen, we are working together. And yes, you can come with your ideas, or you saw this on HGTV, or you saw that, no problem. But this is not going to work for you. This is not going to work for this space. It may not even work for your neighbor's space. It's not even going to work for your space 10 years down the line. But understand what works for you. And so it's always a challenge, it's always a conversation. And I guess it's all the confidence now, after 10 years. Being able to stand up, stand my ground and be like, listen, this ain't happening. It ain't happening.
So Tiffany, how does your approach align or differ to what Darren's approach is?
We value our clients' input, right? About a collaborative effort. But at some point, you have to realize that we are the professionals and we are here to guide you.
Yeah.
I don't want to sound bad, but we do a screening of clients, because at the end of the day, when you are a client for us, you're in a relationship with us for a while.
Didn't I say that?
Yes, you did. It's like a marriage.
In one of the previous episodes, I said that I am part of your marriage.
Yes.
We are part of your life. We have to know exactly what you do, how you move, to design a space around you, right? So we like to screen, as we would say, beforehand. And because of how long we're doing it now, we could tell before who is a trouble client from who isn't a trouble client. And you know why we don't have that HGTV client problem is because once we sign out that paperwork, it just separates the serious persons from the jokers, right? That's what we live. We are professionals. You came to us because you need something from us. We're here to help you to solve your problems. Let us do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Love that.
I think so. Like, definitely, the way of weeding out as well is when you hit your consultation. When you hit your consultation and there's a fee attached to it, you see who is serious and who is not serious.
Yeah.
And I understand not everybody can afford a consultation cost, or not everybody can work with us.
Yeah.
But tell us from the get-go. Understand? I am okay with people who only want a consultation. So I have X price. Wow, Darren, this real steep. So I think all I can do is this. That's okay, because after your consultation, you are equipped with all of the understanding to either stick with me or do it on your own.
Yes.
And or do it 2 years down the line. But you are so full of information from that consultation. You understand? So,
and what I realized, so especially with the blog, is that if we put that information out there, we tend to see that persons that come for the consultation already know the information. So they're serious. They want to have that next level of conversation. And to me, that helps us to go with the clients and managing that.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to your documentation, right?
right.
One of the things that I realized really was that when a client comes to you for consultation and after they leave and stuff, and they say, okay, I want to go with you, and you send them your proposal document. When your proposal document is 1 page, right? All you're gonna get is so what we could do on the price line, could do better. But what I've found is when you itemize and you list out what the process is gonna be, and they get an understanding of what what is involved in what they're getting into, right? They appreciate it and they value it differently. Yeah. Right? Nobody will ask what because they understand what is involved. And you know, again, it goes back to the transparency. How you give them information. Give them
With that discount request, do you all offer, do you all give in, what happens in that respect?
So I'm the softie, right? So it kind of depends sometimes. Sometimes I may give in, but obviously it can't be ridiculous. I'm charging you $5 and you say, I only have $1, and then I'll be like, all right, cool. No.
But those discount clients, are they difficult to work with in the long run?
Yeah.
You see, I'm not going crazy. I'm not crazy.
That's why I say, for any professional out there, right? Design, construction, whatever you're into, you must know your value.
Correct.
Right? And
the value of your time.
Of your time and your services. We know the product that we're going to pay.
Thompson.
So shout out to Bobby Thompson. He's from Aki Woodworking. Aki. Yes. We had a very frank and
conversation,
gut-wrenching conversation on Friday last, where
shout out DJ Show Drop because it was for his birthday live.
Yeah, and
I'll send you the link.
He was literally talking to me and is like, "What are you doing? Like, why are your fees like this?
Yeah.
Is somebody paying your rent? Is somebody buying your food?
Oh God, yeah.
That you don't.
What I like about this podcast, honestly, is that we say it's an interior design podcast, But legitimately, it's about so many things. And one of the biggest things for me, as someone who's not an entrepreneur but is looking at it very seriously, is that it's also very much an entrepreneurial podcast.
Yeah.
And we're having real conversations about doing business, specifically in Trinidad and Tobago, but also the wider Caribbean. So any young person or person who is new into entrepreneurship can benefit from the conversations that we're having. Because you see that know your worth thing?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord, that is a hurdle for me.
So I gave him a bit of insight into some of my softy ways and how I would give in and charge particular clients. The man told me I'm a technician. Hello, I laughed and thought about it for the weekend, and I said to myself, "You're not an entrepreneur, you're a technician."
Can I just say shout out to CARICOM, because he's from Jamaica.
He specializes in cliff design.
I know him. I follow him. He's a great designer.
To at least one of the homes that he's worked on. Jesus Christ.
Our hope is that he's our guest next week.
Yeah.
Nice.
That he is coming.
He's coming on the podcast.
So
we just have to book him.
we just have to have
look
him,
out for
but
Aki Studios. But
I
yes.
don't know if my heart can handle any more buff.
More real conversation.
But he did open my eye, because what I started doing was, okay, when I realized clients they're trying to beat me down in cost.
Yeah.
Okay, you are a problem.
Yeah.
So we can't work together.
Yes.
I mean, I had a client once, a prospective client, where I gave my cost, then I gave you a discount because you requested. So we hadn't signed the document. You asked for a discount. Okay, I kind of had my wiggle room. Okay, I gave it. I should not have. Then you wanted to change my payment terms. So from what I wanted, you are telling me now you want a 25%. And then when I'm giving you that 25%, and I don't know why I'm so stupid giving it, and I am continue going with this nonsense. 25% now I'm going with that payment term, that mobilization. You want to pay me half of that 25%. So I had to think about it. And then I sat down and then I wrote a very interesting and politically correct FU email. Yeah, and I had to be like, 1, you work in this industry. 2, you are unfair.
Yeah.
3, I have already given you what you want to pay me now. I have surpassed that at least 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So me sitting down and talking to you and giving you information and doing different things, we have passed that. That consultation has even gone beyond what your actual fee is now. Understand? And it's literally, Darren, stand your ground.
Yeah.
You have not been doing this for 10 years for a joke.
Exactly. You've created a fantastic portfolio. And I think that is one of the things that entrepreneurs need to get really familiar and comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because your business life is going to improve when you realize how much value you are adding. So before we go to the tea bag, we need to talk about your favorite types of design, because you're not just a construction firm, you're a construction and design firm. I don't want to take out the design from you. So
Yes.
So like coastal design, contemporary design, commercial, residential, like
I can say though, if I did win the 15 million, Olia was building my house, because I went on the website and was like, wow, I could almost give Olia a
somewhere
free
in
rein.
Charlottesville, somewhere in Speyside, somewhere in Palatuve.
That's a dream.
I mean, my father from Tobago, so you know the first house was good and be in Tobago for the culture.
Yeah. No, like once I have that income,
Yeah.
and I could buy the land from the people who own the land that don't live in Trinidad or Tobago. You're getting a call. You understand?
That's another podcast, because the cost is ridiculous.
So, Tiffany, don't start because we will run out of time. Don't start.
Like, how is it that half of the land in Tobago is not owned by Trinbagonians? How and why? Why is it allowed? Why was it allowed?
The short answer is colonialism, but honestly, Tiffany, tell us your design style.
What is your favorite design?
History and politics. Yes, let me just say yes.
Sip the tea. Just sip the tea.
But to answer your question, right, in terms of our favorite design style and stuff, I mean, particularly we don't necessarily have one particular style, because you see, the thing about it is that every site and every context presents different opportunities and different responses, right? And we consider ourselves like students of the whole industry in terms of design and construction. So responding to the immediate context and microclimate of a particular site
and then the clients
and the client needs. It varies, right? It's never the same, right? So it's always a new lesson, and then we always about learning new things, you know. So gaining new information and the approach to a design. Sometimes you may start by just going on the site and looking at the view. So it jumps off from the view itself, but then on another project, it jumps off from, the nature around it that surrounds it. You know. So
style, as I say, is subjective.
It's subjective,
but we like to challenge ourselves when a client comes to us and say, I know that you usually do more modern designs, but I like a traditional home, or I like colonial something. We still take on that challenge. Yeah. Right?
Because there's still a way to marry the two, right?
Yeah, marry the two, but also for us to just learn a new aesthetic and be fully immersed in that design process. So, and that, to me, that's why design is so exciting.
Yeah.
For us, is because it's always something new, something different, something to explore. You're always learning.
Yeah.
You know, so to pinpoint one, I mean, we're known for contemporary. We're known for that kind of modern aesthetic.
Tropical modern.
That kind of Caribbean modern. But it is not to say that's the only thing that we want to do.
Though, I realized looking at your site, I'm like, okay, I'm definitely tropical contemporary, because this is not to gas you. I really was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I want to have a conversation about tiny homes but we don't have the time. So you're clearly angling for a second
season 2.
Yeah, there will be a season 2, and you know what? And I'm saying this. Doing this one in Tobago.
Yes,
doing this one in Tobago.
Yeah.
But let's get into the tea bag. Chat, and Zoom is not having us.
Yes. The tea bag session questions from folks. We have 2 questions that we need answers to. The first question comes from Nadine, and she says, what is the price difference between Trinidad's costs and Tobago's costs, and why? I know we got into that, so I guess you can have some of that. And then the second question came from Delicia. As a couple about to build our first home, what difference do you bring to the table to ensure you are selected in a saturated industry? And I know you also touched on that. So the floor is yours.
I love your responses. I'm sorry, I'm awaiting your responses.
This one?
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So the difference in the cost between Trinidad and Tobago, it's really based on the fact that what we touched on earlier, the availability of materials and choices, right? So there's always a situation based on your taste that we would have to transport it from Trinidad. Right, so it may be a situation we'd have to take a flight, go down, look at the options, make the selections, and then organize transportation to Tobago. So there's always an additional fee to get it here. Then you have to look at storage, because sometimes it's a case where you might have to get it within a certain time frame, to not clash with the boat situation or anything like that. So there is that challenge that presents itself.
Also, what affects cost too is that you find that hardware in Tobago are more expensive than hardware in Trinidad. Because some people would say, well, why you just don't buy it in the hardware here? So, like for instance, let's take steel for instance. Steel in Trinidad now is about $10,000, right? In Tobago it's 13. So even if it is that I get my steel and I pay a truckman to bring it up from Trinidad, it's still not coming up to the Tobago's price.
Yeah.
Right? So these are factors that we have to look at. So I would say that the cost, that's what really makes the cost vary.
Yeah.
Those little things that seem minute, but it has a big impact in terms of getting materials from Trinidad to Tobago.
Yeah.
All right. And what about question number 2
from Delicia? So basically she's saying, you know, I just got married, I'm about to build my new home. Why am I picking you? Because the market is saturated. Now, of course, I'm thinking, well, I'm going with a married design team, but that clearly is not the reason.
And it is true, the market is saturated. The market does have a lot of great professionals in the industry. I think that what sets us apart is our, as I said, transparency. We are fully interested in the persons that we design for, and that's why we always like to go towards more custom designs, because your home is your home. Your home is not Sharon home down the road. You know, so that we like to tend to your needs, your family life, your hobbies, your extracurricular, your relaxation times. You like to read if you're an avid swimmer. You know, we cater it to your specific needs, and we like to take a holistic approach when it comes to design. So one of the first questions that we ask in the design process is, what is your budget? That is the overarching item, parameter that would help us to stay us in the right direction and to stay you in the right direction, so that we don't have problems later on. And that is where it happens, that people don't at the front. And I think that that's what we have. We like to manage that client expectation from the get-go. So as I say, a lot of people come to us, they may not stay with us, but at least when they leave, they have information. And you know, we feel good about that we can help somebody.
I love that. I love that, Tiffany. So let's move into what's brewing. What's your favorite design trend? Design trend or trends, because this is your area. So what do you love and can't get enough of?
I think it's weird, but because of my personality type, I love storage solutions.
Oh, I love that.
I love organization. I love a design that has something hidden or a surprise. So, you know, the trend these days is with your kitchen, you have like this hidden pantry. Love that. You know, so it's interest in the home. You know, you're playing with it. It's not design, not serious. You know, it's a fun place that you love to be in, love to live in. So that for me, I'm trying to like find little spaces where we could find storage solutions or be creative with the space and have it be multifunctional. That's me.
I mean, for me, I like how you could connect your indoors with your outdoors, because I like outdoor.
Love indoor, outdoor.
So that seamless connection where you could open up your doors and it's like almost like one space. Like,
I can change my answer.
Why I'm saying no is because you all marry both of those things. So you marry storage solutions and these different things that are necessary.
Yes.
And Keron comes in with figuring out how to have this outdoor-indoor experience. Even if your space isn't large and you don't have that pool and you have whatever, but you feel. So when you put those two together, hey, we have a good product. You understand?
So we have to be really, really quick with this one, right? No tea, no shade. So this is the opposite of the question that we just asked you. You need to tell us what you absolutely would like to banish from the design world. Keron has this.
Have you ever seen where you open a bathroom and the toilet is facing you?
Oh my goodness. Ronaldo sent me something this morning about designs with toilets straight in front of you.
Yeah.
Random.
Pet peeve. Pet peeve.
Another thing too is
well?
you don't design for circulation. Sorry?
No, I thought I was asking Tiffany if that was her pet peeve as well.
Oh yeah. Bathroom designs on the whole, because I'm very finicky about bathrooms.
Yeah.
So if it's not right, yeah.
No, I was just talking about circulation. Sometimes persons don't realize that people use spaces, right? So sometimes they say, well, give me a small dining room, kitchen, but then when you put the furniture in, you can't really move about.
Yeah.
Right? You gotta be bouncing each other to pass and that kind of thing. Circulation, very important.
Yeah.
Furniture, it moves, right? So a chair has to come out for somebody to sit and that kind of thing.
Just functionality.
Yes, just functionality.
Keron and Tiffany, we have to end it here because Zoom is going to embarrass us in like 2 seconds.
So before you leave, tell the folks where they can find you, please.
All right. So we are a company based in Tobago. We are in Canby, which is right behind the mall in Lowlands. But we like to think of ourselves as international, regional designers. We don't let location stop us because we have a lot of international clients as well. So get us on our website. Our website is www.kkconstdesign.com. We also have an IG page and a Facebook page. So just type in KK Construction Design and you will get us there for sure. As I said, I was saying too that even though we're based in Tobago, we still do have clients from Trinidad, we have clients from Canada, from the UK, so it's not to say that we're limited. If COVID taught us anything at all, we're not limited. So
I love that. And this has been a most fantastic conversation. It's clear that we like to chat.
Yeah, boy.
Once there's tea,
a lot.
Yeah.
Season 2.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to find the way around season 2 because season 2 has a lot of pain points and testimonials and different things, and other like businesses talking about why we should come to them and the different people that I would select and these different things. So I'm very excited about us having a continued discussion in season 2. This is the penultimate episode to wrap up season 1.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Listen, what you're doing here is such a good job. I hope that you'll get to reach as many people as possible because it is invaluable.
I thank you, and I thank you all for being our guests today. Unfortunately, yes, we do it in person, but Zoom is working. But I mean, it's kind of working. But yes, so as we sign off, we say thank you. Thank you guys for listening to the Interior Podcast. This is episode 9. Thank you for sticking with us and listening to us ramble and talk and give inputs and all those different things. So,
and lime about interior design. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
But you know where to find us on all your favorite podcast servers. We're on Apple, we're on
Spotify. We are literally, when we look at the stats, you can find us anywhere. Just search the Interior Podcast, INTEARIOR, because we are spilling the tea on all things in the home industry.
Yes.
Thank you for being with us once again. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
You can listen to the Interior Podcast on Apple Podcasts,
Spotify,
SoundCloud,
and all other streaming platforms.
You can follow us on social media on Instagram.
Yes, and even Facebook at The Interior Podcast.
Go ahead and follow us now.
Thank you.